All right, here we go. Man, this is a man that I am so fascinated with, man. He's from Kenya and he says he's a film director and photographer. Met him at the college. And when I tell you, he is so full of wisdom. Every conversation, I just enjoy talking to him. I enjoy the way you articulate yourself, and I enjoy your motive and drive. You showed me your documentary. I was highly impressed, and there's so much I learned from it. Like his filming is incredible, right? The way you told the story with the documentary, the way you filmed it. I was inspired, right? So I got really inspired by looking at his work, and I believe he will definitely go far. So he's definitely somebody I would like to collab with, that I'm going to collab with, right? We're already doing it. So we're already manifesting our ideas by doing this interview, right? So I just want to know more about him, where he comes from. I want the world to know where he comes from, and just so they can get the whole holistic feeling that I'm feeling about the gentleman right now. Tell everybody what your name is and everything about yourself. And how did you get in videography and photography?
Well, my name is Tevin Amani. That's what I go by in most of my socials, Tevin Amani. I'm 20 years old at the moment. I'm born and raised in Kenya, in Nairobi, the biggest city. It's actually our central city there, and it's a very interesting place because it brings you around so many different people, so many different experiences, and a lot has like gone into the work into shaping me to what I've become, and I'd say probably my initial motivation for photography and like film started when I was kind of 8. I was just, I was when we used to go out with my parents for lunch on Sundays and stuff, I used to make sure I dressed up in like a suit, and I'd wear such colorful coats and make sure like I'd take a picture, I'd take everybody's picture. And it's kind of translated into high school. I did some ads before in primary, so I was doing some ads, some social media campaigns. So
Yes.
I knew that this was something I could do. So when I got to high school, I went to a Kenyan high school. It's called Alliance High School. It's one of the most prestigious, not universities, high schools in Kenya. It brings students from all over the country, all walks of life. You'll meet people from different economic classes, social classes. You'll meet people of different races, different tribes, people who speak differently from you, people who think differently, people who have different aims and goals, and that whole mixture, that whole integration, I feel really has shaped me and made me available to be more accepting to what the world could give. So when I got to high school, I initially got into drama. So I was doing script writing.
Yes.
So I wrote plays for a competition, and I did very well. And it was at this moment that I realized, oh, I really enjoy this, because for a very long time in my life, I was not a sports person. I was not. I was just mostly a nerd. I was just mostly about books. But when I got into script writing and kind of the whole idea of directing and making people kind of actualize whatever you have in mind and bringing it into a format that people can appreciate and see,
Yes.
was very touching to me, and it felt like something I'd love to do for continuity. So fast forward to my last year in high school, I started a film club, and we were able to do this wonderful documentary about the school. And what I really tried to capture was the essence of the school,
Yes.
the students, the life, how we live, how people perceive us and how we perceive ourselves, and how just everything goes day by day. Yeah, so that's mostly how I got into film. That's how I realized that this is something I could do. This is something I have a passion for.
Yes.
And ever since I'm still working on several projects myself, trying to grow every day. And
Love it.
one of the most important and key lessons I've learned on the way is that it really doesn't, when it comes to creation, there are really very few rules because it's creating something new. So you have to start from scratch, and nobody really knows what you're creating apart from you.
Yes.
So the fact that you're creating means that you are in charge of the rules, you are in charge of the process, you are in charge of the mechanism. So because a hindrance for me in this process was like, oh my God, am I doing this right? Oh my God, am I really like taking the angles right? Am I doing this? But at the end of the day, I kind of realized that as long as I am able to create something at the moment and I feel that this is satisfactory to me,
Yes.
and that is my creation, that is creativity, period.
Creativity is something very profound, right? And it's something God has gifted us with, right? God, in Genesis, God created the universe, right? And it took time. He didn't just create it. You know, it took steps. It took frameworks, right? It took days. So that's what's so unique about being a photographer and a videographer. It takes days, it takes months to create it. But once we create it, it's a part of us, right?
Yeah.
And we're putting that into the universe so everybody can see it, so everybody can evoke emotion from it. That's powerful. And when you are creating these projects, that's the key word, create. When you are creating these projects, how does it make you feel when it's all done and you are getting to that level, to the point where you look at it and other people look at it? What's the feeling you get when somebody says, wait a minute, I love this? What goes in your mind, man?
I'd love to start with the whole process of like making something.
Yes.
And I have to say, like, sometimes it can be very nerve-wracking to even decide on what you want to do.
Sure.
And once you already decide, and the whole process, of course, there's so much technicality that comes with creativity and like building projects.
Yes.
And a lot of the time, being a perfectionist, I'd like to say I'm a perfectionist and I'm very key to details. A lot of the time when I'm finished with my projects, I kind of I cringe and I'm like, is this really what I wanted to do? But I realized that was just me being very judgmental about myself.
Yes.
And so the validation that comes with somebody seeing my work and resonating with it and kind of even acknowledging that, wow, you actually did something here, is actually kind of one of the most beautiful moments I ever. Every single word of appreciation and like, oh, this guy can actually, this actually means something. It actually kind of gives meaning, gives breath to all the work that has gone before, because all people see is the creation. The process behind it is all new. It's mostly, it can be all mental, so it is up to you to give it breath.
Yes.
And so when somebody realizes that this is something living, it's amazing, man. It's such a great feeling when people acknowledge your work. But it also behoves us to be like humble and like be accepting that somebody has seen our work and accepted it. Doesn't make us the best creator. Doesn't make us the only creator. It just feels nice, to be acknowledged and to be.
Of course. Well, I like your humbleness, right? The ability to stay humble, right? Because you can lose yourself, right? Back in the past, I used to lose myself a lot in my ego, right? So there was a degree of self-awareness where I had to come in and check myself, right? Because I was kind of tyrannical with my actions. I'm like, okay, it's my way or the highway. Being in the world of business, I was very competitive, right? So I had to check myself and calm that ego down and recognize the ego. Like, wait a minute, I don't have to be competitive all the time. I could collaborate. I could work. I could look at these people rather than collaborate with these people. I could look at rather than compete with these people, right? Let me rephrase that. Compete with these people. I could collaborate them and look at them as education. And I could learn something from them, right? And then we could combine our skills together, right? Because in reality, the student is nothing more, the teacher is nothing more than an educated student.
Mm-hmm.
When you look at it. So it's our job to learn from everything.
Mm-hmm.
To learn, like, when I looked at your documentary, the way you filmed it, and the way you told the story, the way you narrated it, right, with passion and intention, it brought me into the high school. Like, I was there and I felt the kids, and a lot of people, they don't realize when they look at these films that everything is emotional, right? Emotion sells, right? Emotion sells the product. So if you attach a product to emotion, then it's gonna instill within the people every time a person looks at it. Without emotion, there's nothing. It's just a product, right?
Yeah.
So people remember more how you made them feel. So when I looked at it, I felt the way, when I looked at your documentary, I'm like, this is amazing, the way it was filmed, the pan shots, the environmental B-roll, the storytelling, the talking heads, you actually engaging with the people, getting their story, brought me into the world of Kenya. And I want to just thank you for making it, and thank you for showing me it, right? Because it brought a whole another perception to me. I'm like, man, there's so many great people out here, right, that I could just learn from. Like you said, neither of us are the best. It's all about striving to get better and collaborating and then learning from each other.
You said something about collaborating, which is, I feel like it has been a very big pedestal in my learning that photography and film is very close to me. Without the people I have collaborated with, I could not be here, I have to say.
Yes.
And I had to realize that, you see, we live in there's so much that we are told divides us. And I believe that there's so much that unites us than divides us. There's so much more need for us to collaborate than to compete.
Facts.
Because competition comes from probably the most deep root of competition is survival.
Yeah.
But at the moment we are in the world that we're in, most of the time we do not need. We are already surviving, so all we need is to have a better life. All we need is to have a better existence, and through collaboration and in any aspect, we can grow in these ways. And with collaboration, especially in my film work and my photography and my projects, and I feel like I have grown so much because the things that people put into their creation, the emotions they separate from themselves to put into a film or a photograph, their stories, and they're all, when people kind of get together to collaborate, they bring all types of perspectives together. So when you bring out an image or a film or a project that is a result of collaboration, the likelihood of it resonating with somebody else's story is very high.
Yes.
Instead of it being a very solo project. Solo projects are very meaningful because they capture individuality in some sense, and they capture your essence, and they'll be all you. But we have to realize that if you're trying to tell a story, there are so many different stories in this world.
Sure.
There are so many different ways to tell different stories. There are so many different ways to tell the same story. So collaborating and with creatives, collaborating in creativity is very crucial in however this works. I won't say I know how it works completely, but I do know that collaboration is a very key part, and it is a way to grow as an artist, as a filmmaker, director, and any creative project that you're onto.
Yes, sir. You see multiple different dimensions of reality when you collaborate. You actually tap into their dimension, right?
Yeah.
So now a person might have an idea that I would have never thought of by myself, right? But I'm collaborating. We're mixing ideas with each other. Now it's like, okay, let's combine these ideas. Let's integrate this. Let's become a team. America is so sensationalized with individualism. I did, and that's very bad, because it's like okay, you did it, and there's a world of people out here that could have helped you manifest even better, right? You know, but no, there's no I in team. The team is gonna save you time, energy, and money, right?
Yes.
You know, so why make it harder for myself? There's people with multiple different skill acquisitions, and their strengths might be my weaknesses. You know what I'm saying? So why not collaborate and use it to advantage? Okay, you're good at this. I'm good at this. This person's good at this, right? So let's combine our different ideas, right? And then let's be a service to one another, right? So now that we're a service to one another, now we, like you said, we reach a broader target audience because all of us have different fan bases, right? All of us have different social media platforms. All of us have different demographics of people that we know. So your reach, your social media presence, your brand identity, your brand personality will increase just by collaborating with the next person. So it's highly beneficial. What I wanted to know is, I see you in KCK, right? You attend the FBOE classes. Shouts out to Roger Snubs, man. Has done a lot for the community.
Yeah.
Shouts out. If it wasn't for Roger Snubs, I wouldn't be collaborating with you, right?
Yeah.
Come on. This is connections. Shouts out to my boy Roger. Be sure to invest into his t-shirt, too. Come on, man. The truth, baby. We talking the truth.
Yeah.
Man, what got you into the KCK Community College, right? You know, and what got you into the FEOE program? And what are your future goals, man? You know, like, what are some of your future goals and aspirations you plan on doing with your film career? Because right now I see a bright future for you.
Oh, thank you. KCK. See, actually, one of the first people I met when I came to visit this school was Roger, and I like to tell people that our energies instantly clicked. You see that guy who always supports you and is always ready to support. That's Roger for you.
Yes.
And this guy from the get-go, he was, oh, this is what you do. And at the moment I met Roger, I hadn't even been very open to showing people my work. But when I showed him, he was very receptive, and it was very new to me, actually. And I actually realized that I could be supported and have a community that supports me. And when I am surrounded with that type of energy, I am able to grow. When I keep myself in a situation where I do not receive this energy, I will not go anywhere, because it is all energy comes and goes. You produce the energy you receive.
Right.
So that is how I am here at FB. That is how we met at FBOE, because of Roger, because Roger saw something in me and I saw something in him, and he inspired me, and he saw something that probably in me that could inspire some other people. Apart from the creative aspect, I use creativity as a form of expression, and film and photography as a form of expression and as a hobby. Career-wise and academically, at the moment, I am studying to become a medical doctor, which is sometimes surprising to many people who are like, you're studying to be a doctor and you're doing all this. What's the point?
Yes.
And at some point, for me, it was also very confusing, because I'd like to say I'm very good in my sciences, and I was also very good in English, actually, and literature, and kind of balancing these things was difficult, because some people think they put you in a box and say you do science, and so you should go hang out with sciencey people. You have no space with creativity, and it got to a point where I said, hey, you guys can't define me. I am my own definition.
Of course.
And so I use creativity as a form of expression. It's a hobby. It's a passion. But academically and college-wise, I'm here at KCK doing. I'm on a pre-med program, and hopefully not hopefully.
Come on.
Yeah, I usually say inshallah, which means if God wills, which inshallah. So inshallah, in 2028, I will proceed to medical school.
Wow.
And I have an interest in psychology and children, and we can get into that and why it actually came to me very recently why I'm very interested in psychology and
Yes.
children, and we can get to that. But at the moment, I'd like to say that's what I'm doing. I'm on a medicine pathway, and yeah, I hope to do great things and bring my creative expression and my creative mind and my filmmaking skills to the medical field. And it is kind of a breath of fresh air because I have so many medical classmates, and
Yes.
that's not, most of them don't really gamble with that type of stuff. But
Right.
so kind of bringing that type of fresh air into that field is also very important.
It's a value,
Mhm.
right? Any skill acquisition that you have other than your profession, right, is a value.
Mhm.
And any skill acquisition that you consider a passion is a value, right? Because that passion is going to leave you the energy to create, right?
Mhm.
It's only when we rob ourselves from that passion and really like throw it down on the ground and forget about it, that's when we truly hurt, right? So we all have that inner child within us that wanted to do something, that wanted to be something great, but it was robbed from us from parents, education, school systems, and everything that taught us what we needed to be, not what we wanted to be. So we got to go deep into that inner child and hold that inner child within us tight.
To
And
introspect.
introspect, right? And introspection, looking deep within yourself. Psychology is king. So, like, when you know about psychology, and there's different forms of it. There's consumer psychology. There's human behavior. The study of psychology is real, and the more you learn about that aspect of it, you can understand human behavior. Once you understand human behavior, not only can you understand yourself, but you can articulate yourself to other people that might not understand, right? And you can be a service to that. And that's what filmmaking is when you look at it. It's psychology. It's going deep into your mind and creating something visually appealing that people can relate to. It's beautiful. And I'm glad that you have that passion. Never let it go. No matter what your profession is, never let it go because it will lead you. Who knows? That medical field that you're in might need you to film a commercial, right? You know, people have families that are passing away. They might need a documentary. They might need pictures. That's where your skill acquisition comes in. And any skill acquisition that you have is a value because we live in a comedy of skill acquisition. It's more about what you can do, not necessarily about the degree. You know, anybody can have a degree, right? You know, but what can you do? How can you problem solve? How can you critical think? The real people aren't the one asking the questions. They're the one answering the questions.
Yes.
And that's what raises the bar.
Uh-huh.
Judging by that, bro, let's just say I'm extremely proud of you, man.
Thank you.
Have you faced, well, I want to ask you, like, you're a strong person, man. I feel your energy sitting there. It's hella strong. Roger felt it. I feel it, right? You know, like, are there any adversities that you had to overcome, right? Is there any times where you felt like, you know, like giving up to a certain extent? We all been there, you know what I'm saying? I didn't been there, you know, maybe 2 years ago, right? So is there any adversities that you had to overcome to get to where you are now? And how did you overcome it? And how did that adversity, you know, because each adversity can destroy us and can make us. How did it make you, and how did it almost destroy you to a certain extent?
I'm no stranger to adversity. I believe
Yes.
life is not a bed of roses. It will
Man,
so many times prick you, but you have to be tough enough to put a bandage on it and continue healing. So many there's so many instances of adversities that I could tell you about, but a lot of my adversities have come probably in my family life and
yes.
the loss of people.
Man.
I lost in high school, my first year of high school, I lost my dad. And it was a really tough time because it was a whole situation. And so I had a stepdad, and my biological dad died, and we had to go for the funeral. But when we came back to school, I didn't really want to tell people about my dad dying, and so nobody knew for the whole year. And I was able to tell people, only two people that I was able to tell, probably at the end of the year. And it was a really dark space to be in. I was very young also, so processing grief, processing loss, processing guilt. There's a lot of guilt that comes with grief. There's a lot of regret. Um, but I'd like to say beyond that and beyond the loss of people and grief, I also have had instances with violence, and I grew up in a very, it wasn't an extremely violent home, but there were instances of violence.
Yes.
And it has informed my worldview of, I believe, and if you ask me if my ideal world would be a world without violence. And actually, my second name means peace in Swahili, and I feel like that was there was a reason I was given that name. And actually, my mom told me that the reason she gave me this name was because before I came into this world, she was having so much violence at home, and when I came, she felt like things would finally change. So I became her peace, and I became her refuge. And so, with the work that I do and the way I interact with people, I always try to, and this is also has informed my desire to pursue psychology, especially with children and medicine, because I believe the whole problem of violence can be solved with addressing the psychology that goes, because I believe violence and hate is a learned response.
Yes.
So when we are able to kind of capture whatever causes that at a child level, we can nick it before it develops into something cancerous.
Sure.
And so overall, I feel like the adversities that I've faced have taught me to keeping on, because, and the good thing about, I'd like to say it's adversity, but it also has, the good thing about adversity that it's that, and when you get adversity so early, it shows you actually, it kind of removes the veil of your face and like, oh, things can really get tough actually.
Yeah.
And it builds a skin on you, and it's kind of, especially when you have to deal with it alone, most of the time you are able to handle things, and it has made me very open and very present, especially with losing people. It has made me appreciate day-to-day interactions.
Yes.
It has made me appreciate things as they come, things as they go, because attachment can be a very big hindrance and also big gift at some point. So you need to know how and when to attach to things when they come, when to be able to release them to go when they decide to leave.
Yes.
So it has really, adversity has really helped me with my emotional intelligence. It has helped me with the way I interact with people.
Sure.
And all those challenges and all those things that I have faced, they are not new. There are so many people facing the same things I have faced. There's so many people facing worse than I have faced. There are people who haven't faced it,
Yes.
but might face it. And all my advice is usually just to keeping on. I keep saying that, keeping on. I think I liked it. I think I got it from high school. Somebody just said it and it stuck with me. Keeping on. Keep doing it day by day. Keep accepting things as they come, and the lights at the end of it will truly shine on you. And the things that you love, the things that you enjoy doing, the things that make you laugh, try and surround yourself with those things more.
Yes.
And
Yes.
you'll have a very eventful life, actually. So that is what adversity has taught me thus far.
I like it.
Mhm.
I like it. Diversity shapes character,
Mhm.
shapes character development. Without adversity, how can you really find yourself? How
Mhm.
can you really put yourself through challenges,
Mhm.
right? You remain complacent without the adversity. The adversity to me is where you find the gratitude. The adversity is where you find God at, right? Sometimes we got to go back into that darkness to find God, you know what I'm saying? And reinvent ourselves. We as human beings, we're constantly adapting with evolution, right? I wouldn't have gained this muscle, right? You know what I'm saying? Without me breaking it down and constantly adapting, growing, you know? So I believe progress is the enemy of peace, right? Because we right now, say if I was learning a new subject in the classroom, right? And it's difficult for me to learn, right? I don't know how to do it. Or say if I was a new actor and it was tough for me to remember my lines, right? You know, now my peace is disturbed. But now, once I keep doing it, right? Once I keep overcoming that adversity and stay consistent, it gets a tad better. And I make that progress. So progress is addicting, right? You win as men. Our testosterone levels boost up when we start winning. When we start accomplishing goals, that's when we at our most highest. That's when we take leadership as men. Too many men are at a low frequency to the point where they're being controlled by their emotions, right? They're not observing, like you said, they're not observing or even processing their emotions rather than reacting to everything that happens to them, right? They're at a survival mode, like we talked about earlier in this video. They're at a flight or fight response, right? So we got to step out of that. You know, we are in adversity, but it's our choice to stay there. Some people like it there, you know. They're like, wait a minute, I like it here. Then you know what happens? They find a group of people that like it there too. So they stand. It becomes a group.
You will always find a community for anything.
Yeah.
So if you have a problem with something, you will always be drawn to people who have the same type of problem. And sometimes it is difficult to distance yourself from that because you feel like it is the normal, and because you see so many people around you doing the same things, and you not realize that it is your energy attracting those same type of people and keeping you there. And as long as you're comfortable in that energy, you will stay in that energy, and that energy will continue being given unto you. And you said something about, what did you say? Uh, I've forgotten what you said, but
Yes.
I wanted to add that beyond adversity, you have to also be your biggest support system. It is hard sometimes that we tend to be our worst critic instead of our biggest supporter. And when we realize that we are actually individuals, but we are part of the whole, but we are individuals, and before we receive support from another person, we need to be able to afford that support to ourselves. Because people can only meet us at the level that we have met ourselves.
That's nice.
So as much as you have a grind, a process, I like to tell people, give yourself a break.
Yeah.
Because the world sure will not. So give yourself a break because the world will not give you a break.
That is facts. That is facts. Well, that's where that emotional intelligence come from. And, you know, that's where, I was reading in this book, it's emotional intelligence book, but and many other self-awareness books, they talk about self-compassion, right? Being able to show yourself compassion to the point where you're not beating yourself up so bad. You recognize the mistake and you don't overindulge in it. You're like, okay, how can I learn from this, right? And then from learning from that, you also celebrate the small wins in small increments. I don't care if you set a goal, you woke up at 3 o'clock in the morning and you wanted to wake up at 4, it counts, right? Celebrate the small wins and show yourself compassion. And what happens is, too many times we go into the form of self-sabotage, right? And that's when we become the own worst enemy, to the point where now we self-sabotaging ourselves, we self-sabotaging our projects, we are self-sabotaging our relationships with other people, to the point where we can't even build meaningful connections. So all of this is an improvement of oneself, to really know a person's self, right? There's so many different ways. Of course, everybody could tell you their astrology sign, but can they really show you their human design, right? Can they really take a Myers-Briggs personality test and see what type of personality type they are, right? To see who their strengths, their weaknesses. Because once you kind of break down a SWOT analysis of yourself, right? Strengths, weaknesses, strengths, and opportunities, right? Then you could actually apply the framework and work on these attributes, right? And then, like you said, something very profound. Your energy signal is going to attract what you think. Our thoughts are powerful, right? Our thoughts are a signal, right? And our words are codes. Our words have codes in them, right? Mm-hmm. They have hidden codes and meanings. So when we speak these words, low frequency words like, I'm not that good enough. Mm-hmm. I can't.
I'm so tired.
I'm so tired.
I don't know if I'm going to get this done today. You will not get it done.
You will not. You're not speaking words of affirmations.
Because you're, as much as you think that you're speaking, you're also listening to yourself.
Man.
we forget that our ears listen to us, and our thoughts even think about themselves. And the brain is a funny place, because it thinks, and it thinks about thinking, and it also thinks about itself thinking. Yes. Which is funny, because yes. So if you continuously peddle thoughts without being able to encourage yourself, that will be the whole arena that you confined your brain to. That, oh, I cannot do it. I am below this guy. This guy did me wrong. If you continue to put yourself in low frequency, even the music we listen to, I came today to discover, and it is very funny, because ever since I discovered that, I've been listening to very high energy music. Shout out to this genre. It's a South African genre called Amapiano. It's what I DJ mostly. I also DJ. Yeah. I'm a big lover of music, so I DJ.
Yes.
I mix music. I make mashups. So music has brought me through so many places, and so I realized that, And when I look up at myself, and if I am to do a mapping of how I felt during different years and the emotions I felt, the darkest years I always listened to the saddest music. And it kind of transformed as I grew, and when I was kind of young and teenage and kind of adolescent, even my music kind of said that it was very promiscuous and it was very sexual, and sure. As I grew and I tried to kind of build this frequency around me and energy, and kind of tried to build an aura around myself.
Yes.
I've consistently found myself attracted to high energy music. The palpitations are high, and a fact that you might not know, the reason people actually love house music so much and that beat music is because the beats per minute in the music matches the beats per minute of your heart, which is very interesting. So just think about, I've done a writing about this, of the effects of music on your life, to the frequencies that music is frequency too. So the frequencies that you put into your mind, even through music, through thoughts, will affect you.
Sure, that is very profound. Like, for real, like what you said is like on point. Like, for instance, like whenever I'm studying and I feel distracted, right, I put on classical music. I put on nature music, right? And like you said, what it does, it helps calm the brain. Yeah, it centers you, right? And it puts you in a complete state of focus, right? The frequency of the music will calm your mind down, and studies have proved this, right? 70% of college students, right, who have listened to classical music are
Yeah, they do much
lo-fi.
better. Yeah.
Yeah, they do much better when they're studying for the test because it relaxes your mind. Like you said before, our minds are constantly running. It's a weird place, right? We're constantly thinking. So the power of meditation and then mixed in with music, it's gonna calm your mind down. We have certain brain waves in our minds. We got the, of course, we got the delta state, we got the alpha state. We got the normal state of mind. You know what I'm saying? So with that, the delta state is kind of like when we're down there like sleep, we're almost unconscious, right? But the main thing is to get us in that gamma state, the gamma waves where we're totally focused. And music, like classical music, lo-fi, nature music, will help us put us in that state of frequency where we could focus and really concentrate. So I definitely feel what you're saying on that, brother. It's all systematic programming, though. A lot of music that comes on the radio is implemented to us very low frequency music on purpose. To keep us manipulated and controlled and keep us at a low vibe state.
Somebody said this to me once, and they told me, just think about the people who go to operas and big jazz jazz events and concerts where there's a lot of music and a lot of instruments involved. Most of the time, those people are doing very well financially. So just
Yes.
this is not a fact. It's just somebody said this to me.
It's true.
But just think about it. People who ascribe to that type of, who are constantly, it might be something cultural, but it is very interesting to think about.
Right. And we talked about that before. It's all psychology. The study of the brain and psychology. Like I'm like you, I'm deep into it, right? I'm heavy, deep into learning the neuroscience of the mind, learning how people think. Because in film directing and making, you have to be. Because when you're making a movie, you have to down there like stimulate all the person's five senses,
You
right?
have to realize how that person will perceive what you're trying to put out.
Yes. When you're watching a movie, right, or when you're watching a documentary or anything, you feel it, right, through emotion. Emotion takes all five senses: seeing, hearing, even somewhat smelling visually, because it might be something on TV like some good food, right?
Even the colors, the way we perceive colors, the way we perceive. If you've noticed, the color grading in music and film can make you feel so many different things. Can make you smell something that you're only seeing on TV, but you can, because of the color and the way it's put, you can actually smell it. Your brain kind of just relates it. And also the music, even that's put into movies and films.
Sure.
It enables emotions to build up. It enables emotions to calm down. And one of the most recent series that I watched, I'm not advertising, they should actually pay me before I shall come back. But let me just say, House of the Dragon, I'm a big fan.
Yeah.
The music by, I think his name, I hope I'm pronouncing it right, it's called Rajmin Jawadi or something. That guy, the music, the way he creates music for that series is profound.
Yes.
The way he categorized the music in some peculiar way says exactly what the visuals are saying, which is very profound to me because it's music and it says exactly. So it's like me walking and there is a soundtrack. Just think about it. If there was a soundtrack for your life, what would it be?
Man, that's facts. That's deep.
Yeah, so just think about the soundtrack of your day-to-day life, and it might tell you a lot about what you're feeling and thinking.
That's deep. Never looked at it like that. That's a good perspective. You know what I'm saying? Actually, a good analogy right there. I like that. It has my brain thinking. And like you said, these interviews is to make people think, right? I like how you mentioned the color psychology, how colors invoke different emotions. I actually been having my AI teach me color psychology, and understanding that you see the world different. You see how they advertise certain things with colors, especially red and white. Red is an action color, it represents hunger, while white is more of a cleansing, clear, friendly color. Green invokes more of a nature, trusting color. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Like,
if you realize there's no, if there is, I've never gone to one. There's no hospital that has red walls
yes,
because that would, if you think, if I think most patients will get a heart attack.
right.
But most of those walls are white.
Yeah.
I'm sorry for interrupting. You're on green.
No, you're facts. No, that's good because, like you said, most colors at the hospital, right? They're white. You know what I'm saying?
White,
so white
blue,
is cleansing. Blue, yeah.
water.
Blue water. Blue is a trust color. So blue it symbols calmness, right? So mixing these colors in together and knowing how to mix them in your films, color grading, or even just designing something, it's powerful. Look at the KCC sign, right? It's blue and red, right?
Yeah.
Blue is trust, right? Red is powerful, passion, energetic, like, okay, you combine those colors together, you get powerful trust, right? So the psychology in the diaspora, everything, it's just incredible. So many different forms of psychology, right? That we can just use to our advantage to kind of work our way through the world a lot easier.
I love this conversation. I love this. I love having conversations, and I feel like there's one time I said to a friend, "There's nothing more beautiful than a conversation with a random stranger at an airport."
Yeah.
And I've done it like a couple of times, and those are the most you'd find the most intelligent people wearing Crocs or just having a giant backpack on their back,
Right.
going all the way to Brazil for whatever reason, and they'll
Right.
tell you something profound about shoes that you never even knew. And so
Yes.
having conversations with anybody and about
Yes.
anything and being open to perspectives and being ready and available to listen is a very important skill actually, and it will actually help you in so many ways. Just being able to have a conversation first of all, and
Yes.
second thing is being able to listen to the conversation that you're having is a very deep thing, I think.
It is. You get so many different perspectives, right? And we are bioelectrical like beings, right? You know what I'm saying? So right now our frequencies and our energy signals, they're feeding off each other. You know what I'm saying? So we're having this amazing conversation and it's back to back. Iron sharpens iron. I'm learning, I'm getting a feel of, and it brings more of a holistic emotional experience, right? And it's beautiful because you never know who you're talking to, right? So I remember somebody saying last FBOE, he said something very profound. He said, okay, you can't judge a book by its cover, read the table of contents first. And I remember that. I'm like, hey, that's a key. Yeah, that was a bar. And I'm like, okay, so I took notion of that. So that's the good thing about FBOE because now we are at a high frequency place where we have meaningful conversations, and there's like 20 different students in here, right, with different perspectives. I'm like, you'd be crazy not to listen. You'd be crazy to be on your phone because that information passing your head, you need to be writing that down, right? You need to be actively learning, reciting that so it could get into your internal memory, What you verbalize is what you internalize.
Yes, so as you're speaking, and it just came to me that
Yes.
of all our senses, speech is the only sense that we could use to create by ourselves. Let's leave hands alone because we have to use pencils and draw.
Yes.
But the words we speak is our own form of creation, and it's kind of gives it's because creativity subtracts from you to become. So when you hear somebody speaking, it is kind of a subtotal of their experiences because it is the only thing they can actually create because eyes receive, ears receive, the nose receives, your touch receives, but the mouth gives.
That's what they say in the Bible. The life, the the power of the
The
tongue.
power of the tongue.
The power of the tongue symbolizes the power of life and death. If
Mm.
I'm saying it right, you know, I don't really know the scriptures like that.
Yeah,
But
but neither do I.
yeah, but the power and the words is a sword.
Even I think um, in Genesis, if you think about it, God didn't put things together with his hand, or didn't hear things, or he spoke.
Yeah,
He spoke and he said, "Let there be light," and there was light.
damn.
And so think about it. If you are made in his image, it means that the things we speak about can actually be actualized. And
Facts.
and something about the statement that I've made, that being made in God's image, I had a problem with it for a long time because people used it to say, "Oh, I am beautiful, I am made in God's image." But does God have a physical image? Are we really referring to the physical? I feel like we are referring to everything else when we say God's image. So when the things we speak about, we can decide to be our own gods and profess things, bring things into life. And actually, this
Sure.
actually works a lot, very well in creativity and in film work. I came to realize that, and I've actually even done it today. When I had an idea in my head and it was so stuck, and I was so stuck with it, I had gotten a writer's block. And I just got my cousin to sit down and I tried to explain to her what I was thinking. And as I explained, so many more ideas came to me. It was like I was creating space.
Yeah.
So it's a funny way, the way these things work, but just trying to verbalize, because especially with men, we have a very big problem with our emotions actually.
Facts.
Verbalizing them because verbalizing means you've processed it in your mind and you're ready to release it with your mouth. Because if you
Yes.
cannot verbalize it, it kind of says that you have not processed it completely. So if you cannot say completely what you felt, it might say that you have not completely processed what you felt, and you need to check on that. So speech is also very powerful.
That's nice. I love the way you articulated that. That is beautiful. That is, I'm just in awe, man. The vibration of our words, bro. You can feel it. Just the feeling, the frequency. So I could talk to you for hours, but I want to close it out. I want to close it
Yeah,
out
we can have
because
conversations for this. I love people who I can talk about things, because I love talking. And if you get to sit down with me, we can talk about so many things. Because talking it is very powerful, I believe.
therapeutical.
It is therapeutical too.
Therapeutical.
It's like taking a walk, I see. I feel.
Yes, taking a walk and having a deep perspective. You know what I'm saying? Going into different dimensions. You showing me your dimension. I'm showing it, and then we connect. And now we leaving this. We going home. Something meaningful. You know what I'm saying? This will last forever.
Yeah,
right?
we've left a mark on each other.
Left a mark, and then we internalize the mark by filming it, right? So other people can see this mark that we left on each other, right?
And perceive it, and it will resonate with them in so many different ways.
Exactly, forever. When you put that's the beauty about being a filmmaker and a photographer. The photo never changes. The people might change. You know what I'm saying? Photo never changes. The video will never change, right? And who knows? We can keep looking at this video when it's released. Other people can see it. We can look at it and gain valuable insight for our future selves. You know what I'm saying? Our past selves is recording this right now, but our future selves might look at this and like, oh damn, I like that. Let me gain some insight. Let me take notion of that.
Actually, might remind us some things when we forget. Oh, actually, expressing things works.
Yeah.
So when we look back at this, I think it will be a very good thing. And I loved speaking with you today.
Yes.
It was a very good conversation. I liked the ideas that you posed.
Yes.
It's very, as I said, it's very good to have a conversation, because I may not meet you again, probably, I don't know. but probably I will next Thursday in the
Yeah,
new
you
week.
never know.
But our paths today have crossed, and have crossed at this moment in time, and we need to make use of that. And the fact that we've used a conversation to make use of our paths meeting, it's a very eventful and a very good way to commemorate that meeting, because
Yes.
when our paths cross, they probably won't cross again, and we
Yes.
might head different directions, or probably we're headed the same way,
Of
and
course.
probably we're headed the same way, and we'll probably diverge at some point.
Yes.
But I think conversations mark that junction. They put like a poster.
Yeah.
That this happened, and this guys had the conversation today.
It's a stamp.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It's a stamp of history, right? It's a stamp. You know, I like to have you as a returning guest. What the fuck, man? You're so full of knowledge. You know what I'm saying? I love it. You know, so once again, this was a great convo, my brother. You know, when I say my brother, this is my brother from another mother, from the motherland. You know, so I already got the highest, most respect for this guy, man. So it's been a good convo. And man, I can't say it more enough. Tell everybody what your name is, and are there any closing statements you would like to leave to the people?
So my name is Tevin Amani. Closing statements will be: love each other. There is more that unites us than divides us, and if you keep on keeping on, the light will shine on you. Yeah, that's all I'd like to say. Have a good day. Have a lovely day.